just wanted to look at this analysis regarding how, from an Islamic perspective, what are some changes that we might see happening inside Iran and in Saudi Arabia, Israel, Iraq, Lebanon, and Syria with the fall of the Islamic Republic and return of Pahlavi to Iran. Just wanted to just quickly go through this and see what we agree with and what we don't agree with. So, Iran itself, we're going to be seeing an exodus from Islam. The state, this is the analysis. Let's see how true it is. So, this is what is supposed to happen after the Islamic Republic falls. So the state will not just be secular politically, society will likely be aggressively secular as well. So this is not just the government. We will see a surge in pre-Islamic Persian identity. Think Cyrus the Great, Zoroastrian symbolism, and replacing these, basically replacing Islamic symbols. Like, for example, you could expect to, when you go to Iran, you're going to see Zoroastrian symbols everywhere where Islamic symbols used to be. Cyrus the Great symbol. I mean, even today we have that, but just think that times like 100, like everywhere, right? And you could I think you could expect that in our school, like in our classroom, in our programming on TV, on our culture. I think when children go to school, they're going to be a huge education focusing on teaching our ancient culture, our ancient history, our kings. I think there's going to be a lot of that. I think a lot of words are going to be replaced. Islamic words are going to be removed, and people are going to use like more Persian words. You could see like a lot of TV anchors using Persian words instead of Islamic or Arabic words. So basically, like, I think everywhere you go in Iran, you will notice that things have changed significantly based on the symbolism and the vocabulary, the media. It's not going to, it's not just going to be economic progress or development or safety. I think symbolically, every day there are things that will remind you that this is a new era and we have basically, this is not an Islamic country anymore, right? I mean, not ruled by Islam either, not just the people. So we're going to, so let me see now this next paragraph. It's like religious freedom versus backlash. Let's see if we agree with this. The new government will likely promote total religious freedom, but socially, there may be a strong anti clerical backlash. Mullahs and religious institutions might face social ostracization or anger from a population traumatized by decades of theocratic rule. I mean, I pretty much agree with this. I don't think it's going to be as bad as like Muslims being attacked for being Muslims. Like, I don't think it's going to be like that. I don't think like people are going to be like shame on you for being a Muslim. I think that's going to be just like on the internet, like on Twitter. So like some people are going to have those views, but I think in day to day life, I do expect it life to be difficult for mullahs. Like, I do think that not in the sense of like maybe their security, I don't think so, but I think that there's going to be a lot of shame associated for remaining a mullah. I think the mullah class would fall, like the entire mullah class, the Rouhani class will fall in a couple of years. Not, I mean, not just the regime, but that as an industry as a whole will, I think, like, even I'm not going to go as far as saying Islam will end, but I think the clerical class that will end in Iran. The end of Shia leadership, Iran will officially renounce its claim to be the leader of the Muslim world. It will obviously that doesn't need even talk. It will pivot to being a normal nation state driven by, okay, I disagree with this. It says by Persian nationalism. I don't know what it means by Persian. If by Persian is talking about culture and language, I do agree with that. But if by Persian it's talking about ethnicity, then very much disagree with that. I think maybe not even culture. I think culture, they will be focused on diversity of culture in Iran. It's not going to be Persian nationalism. It's going to be Iranian nationalism. So I do disagree with this wording here. So the nation state would not be driven by Persian nationalism. That's wrong. it would be driven by Iranian nationalism, with a focus on Persian as a national language. But when it comes, so we have three. When we say Persian, we're referring to three things. We're referring to language, to a culture, and to ethnicity. Ethnicity, I think that diversity, like, is going, we're going to highlight the diversity of Iran. When it comes to culture, I think we're also going to be highlighting the diversity of Iran, not just Persian but also Azeri, Kurdish. The only thing that I think that the state will be focusing on making it one and not diverse is the official language of the country will be Persian. It will not be Kurdish, it will not be Turkish, it will not be Arab, it will not be Baluchi. The Persian would be the official language of the country, and everything everywhere will be in schools will be taught in Persian. Okay, and people will have classes on their local language as well. Like, for example, Kurdish classes will be taught in schools, Turkish languages, Arabic languages will be taught in school, but as a side course. Like, you're not going to have, like, math and chemistry will not be taught in Kurdish or Arabic or Turkish. All of that, all the main courses has to be in Persian. So the only part when it comes to culture, ethnicity, and language, the only part that there's going to be an emphasis on all of it being Persian is language. But culture, diverse, ethnicity, diverse, language, one state language, and nothing else. Like, we're not going to be a multilingual like Persian and something else, like Canada, for example, like for like English and French, like not like Canada. It's going to be only Persian. The reason why we need that in Iran is because, for example, in a country like Canada, we have many people who speak English and don't speak French, and we have many people who speak French and don't speak English. That's why we need to have a dual language for Canada. But for Iran, everybody speaks Persian, and it basically connects the entire country. So teaching, for example, Kurdish kids, teaching them math and chemistry or science or whatever in Kurdish makes them less available. Like, it gives them less job availability. It disconnects them for the rest of the country. Given that everybody speaks Persian, Persian people, Kurdish people, Turkish, Azeri people, Baluchi people, Bakhtiyari people, they all speak Persian. We need to keep this bond to make the country united on the Persian language, right? So, yeah, it says. So let me fix that. So it's going to be a normal nation state driven by Iranian nationalism and economic interest rather than religious ideology, obviously. Then we're gonna have new. It says, I don't know if I haven't read this part. Let me see if I agree with it. New spiritualities. We will see a public boom in alternative beliefs that are currently underground. Christianity, which is growing fast, it says. Zoroastrianism, it says, and spiritual but non-religious agnosticism. Okay, but I think the number one thing that has grown in Iran more than any of this is God believing people with no religion. So that is the number one. So that's not very spiritual, but I think that's based on, I mean, it could be spiritual, I guess, I don't know. But so even so, I think the number one demographic when it comes to religious beliefs is people who believe in God, but no religions. And then the second category, I think, would be Shia Muslims. And the third one would be atheists, right? So I think Shia Muslims are something in between non-religious people, but nuns are number one. But yeah, Christianity is growing very fast. But if you're starting from a very small percentage, it's easy to grow fast while still remaining a small minority. Zoroastrianism, I don't know if Zoroastrianism is going to grow as a religion. I think people just appreciate Zoroastrianism's symbolism as a symbol of our nation and our history, like a nationalist, like patriotic symbols of our country. Anyways, this was actually longer than I thought. I'm going to leave what's going to happen to Saudi Arabia, Israel, Iraq, Lebanon, and Syria, how this is going to, from an Islamic perspective, how this is going to change these countries after some other people speak. But so I have a lot to go over, but I don't want to give a very, very long speech because then nobody will have an opportunity to speak. All right, so let's move on.
We would never cut you off, though.
Okay.
Next is Amy.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Good. BT, by the way, your mic is back open. I think
Oh,
you pressed it
sorry.
twice. That's okay. That's okay. Go hi, Amy.
Okay.
That's okay.
Oh, what was my oh, okay. So I haven't been paying attention. I haven't really been watching TV today at all. So I haven't seen a lot. But does anybody has Prince Reza Pahlavi said anything about, or anybody else said anything about what the drafting of the Constitution process is going to look like, or how that's going to, does anybody have any idea what that is going to look like or how that's going to unfold? Because that to me is super freaking fascinating, coming from, like the American Constitution and thinking about our forefathers and all the stuff that they must have had gone through. And it wasn't that long ago. And now you guys get to do it like all fresh, and it's super so exciting. So that was my question. That's it.
That's a very good question, Amy, because so after the fall of the Islamic Republic, when we get to the process of writing our constitution, imagine that if you could observe the founding fathers of the United States writing the constitution, but in an age where we had social media, the internet, 24-hour news, and you were living through it and witnessing it happen. So imagine how exciting that would be. So we get to experience that. Imagine going through the foundation of our constitution, of our independence from the Islamic Republic, not our country. We're 2,500 years old. So, but of our the new chapter in our country, while we observe every single step of it, right? So let me tell you what I know about how we're going to get there before we even get there. So first, we're going to have, after the fall of the Islamic Republic in Iran, we're going to have the transitional government, right? The transitional government with the leadership of Prince Reza Pahlavi. There's no elections here. The whole point of the transitional government is to create the situation where we could finally have elections. So to bring the stability required to get there. And the goal is to get there in 100 days. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's the goal of the transitional government, right? Once that happens, the first election that we're going to have is going to be a referendum, because we're not going to write the constitution until we know the form of government that we're going to have, because the constitution needs to be written with having that in mind. So either we're going to be a constitutional monarchy or a republic without a monarch. So if we're constitutional monarchy, we need to write in the constitution like how the king is picked, like who, do people get to remove him from power, for example, if he's not doing a good job? What is his role? Like all of this needs to be determined. Like we can't write a constitution until we know that if we're going to be a monarchy or not, right? So that's the first. So that's election number one, the voting number one, the referendum, where the Iranian people vote probably between two options: a constitutional monarchy or a republic without a monarch, right? The reason why I keep saying a republic without a monarch, because technically a constitutional monarchy is a republic. I mean, you have voting, you have a parliament, you have a constitution. So a lot of people say, oh, a republic or a constitutional monarchy. Well, constitutional monarchy is also a republic. So that's why I like to call it the other option, a republic without a monarch, right? So once we have that referendum, then we're going to have the second round voting, which is going to be picking our representatives in the Council of Founders. Shorei Monsasan. All right. Council of Founders. So you know how you had the founding fathers of the United States? We're going to elect them. We're going to vote on who's going to be our founding fathers, right? So our founding fathers will be chosen by the Iranian people in an election, and those people are going to be responsible for writing the constitution. So we pick them, and they're going to work on the constitution. They're going to give us a constitution, but here's the thing: then we're going to vote. We're going to review it, and then we're going to have the third vote. The third vote will be whether or not we approve of this constitution. So just because we voted for them, that doesn't mean that whatever they write will be automatically approved. Once they write the constitution, then they offer it to the Iranian people. Then we're going to have a referendum to say yes or no to the constitution that they wrote. The fourth voting, so the first one was The first one was the referendum between constitutional monarchy or republic. Second round was for the members of the members of the council of founders. Third one was for to accept the constitution. If it wasn't accepted, then they have to go rewrite it and then put it up for a vote again. But let's assume that it was approved. Then we're going to go for the next election, which is based on the constitution now that we have. Then we have to form a parliament, because like assume for example now we are a constitutional monarchy, so within the parliament somebody within this parliament could become the prime minister, right? So we're going to have a king, we're going to have a prime minister. So the fourth round of voting would be to the parliament to pick the members of parliament. So the details on exactly what the council of founders is going to do and the process in which they're going to be writing the constitution hasn't been discussed yet. Only the only thing that has been discussed is that this is how we're going to pick the people who write the constitution. Does that answer your question, Amy?
Yes.
But Amy, just imagine that fun we're going to be having once all of this is going to just like
I
imagine
can't even.
yeah, I know we're gonna. By the way, I really do think that the U.S. Constitution will be brought up many times. I'm almost 100. I'm 100% close to 100% certain that the U.S. Constitution in all of these discussions and these debates, the U.S. Constitution will be brought up many times.